Alright everyone, so today I wanted to explain in exact detail how this coming week I'm going to farm over 140 million gold on my account. Now I actually did this last week and I was able to get 133 million gold, but my game crashed in the middle of the night and I also spent a couple hours doing things in game besides farming that I didn't really have to, so I know this coming week with some more added efficiency I should easily be able to break 140 mil. Now I also want to say this is all looking at it from my account's perspective, so those of you guys watching the video, while you might not be able to farm as much gold as I'm talking about with these numbers here, you might be surprised at how much you actually are able to farm. And eventually, as you work on your units and your account, you will be able to get to the kind of numbers that I'm talking about in this video. It absolutely is possible and realistic. So let's go ahead and get started here and talk about what is coming up. Because very importantly, if we go to the notices, scroll down to the bottom, you see Fort Solgris here, but this isn't the good one. This is the one that is just the ×2 gold increase. It does not have the half stamina attached to it, but this is ending in about a day here, and when it ends we start the bi-weekly rotation of half stamina. So 3 days of boss battles, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, 2 days of free quests, Thursday, Friday, and then 2 days of the Fort Solgris, which is Saturday and Sunday. Now in that list right there, me personally, I end up farming the most for the Fort Solgris and the boss battles. Now I still do farm quite a bit in the free quests because that's where I'm going to end up getting all of my gold food, but by far the most important ones for efficiency are Fort Solgris and boss battles. And Fort Solgris takes the cake for the winner. It's going to be the best use of your stamina, the most efficient, and also the most gold per hour. And I actually want to show you guys a couple of screenshots here. This is coming from last week. I did 2 test runs of 9 hours each, and I want to show you guys 2 different results here with 2 different teams. Now this first one right here is actually with a certain team that is known for being the best at farming books, and 9 hours, 451 runs, that turns out to about 50 runs per hour. You also have to keep in mind that that 50 runs per hour includes all the loading time and loading screens as well. You can see in the background there the team that I actually used for that. I'm actually going to go ahead and do a test run here on video in a second as well, so you guys can see exactly how this works. Now the second team here, I did a same 9-hour test run, and you can see that it was not quite as efficient. It dropped from 451 runs to 399, and that might not seem like a big difference, but when you're going for the kind of numbers that I'm talking about, efficiency is key. Min-maxing is important, and that, you know, difference is, what is that? Something like 12-13%. That makes a big difference over the long term. And the team in the background there, you can see that that is the classic Penn team, or Pierce, but the team that got 451 runs was actually the Blue Gia team, and that is the team that I use for book farming. And I want to show you guys the important stuff about it and actually go through a test run as well. So if we go to my teams, it's going to be the second team here, and I got my gear equipped, and the most important thing is Blue Gia and Merlin for the actual passive, because Blue Gia is going to gain a ultimate orb from her passive every time she does not take damage, and you're not going to be taking any damage. Everything's going to be dying before they hit you, so she's going to charge up her ultimate and be able to ultimate the last wave, which is an AoE, and one-shot it without the enemies ever taking any turns. And that's important because what that means is you deny the enemies taking turns, so now it's going to make your runs a lot quicker. Now Gowther is also important. He's got an AoE card. He doesn't really like to use his rank up card during this encounter, I guess if it's an emergency, but very rarely. And also his passive as well is going to give your allies additional attack, which is going to make it easier to one-shot that last wave. Hauser, of course, is Hauser for the AoE, very important, and you want to try to have as much attack as possible on your Blue Gia. Associations make a big difference as well, and if you have her maxed out, she's an SR, remember, not an SSR, so getting her ultimate maxed out should be a lot easier than SSRs with, you know, you don't have to have as high attack as I do, probably around 9,500 to 10,500 would be my guess, then you should be able to one-shot that last wave. But even if you don't, as long as Hauser or Gowther's last couple of skill cards finish off the boss, you should be good to go. So let's do a test run here, and after we do the book test run, then I want to show you guys boss battles, because that is another really big one that I farm pretty much for 3 days straight. So let's go into Fort Solgris. let's go to red books, by the way. That is what this team is for. It will also work for potions if you need them, but it will not work at nearly the speeds that it does on the other encounters. So this will be 7 stamina during the half stamina event, and let's head over here. And we are not going to be using food here, so let's hop in. And the important thing is getting everything killed without the enemy taking a turn. Now, the first couple waves are just regular trash mobs that don't really have a lot of health, so even if you don't have a very high attack, you still should be able to one-shot these, and that's important because you're building up additional attack from Gowther's passive as well as ultimate orbs. Now, Gia does need to draw one of her skills here, so if you get really unlucky, and it does happen maybe 10% of the time or so, you won't be able to actually get that last ultimate orb, and then it kind of depends. If my other units have their ultimate or good cards, I might still be able to one-shot it, but let's see. Oh no, we didn't get it this turn. All right, let's see if we can still pull it off here. Oh yeah, Hauser's gonna get his ultimate, so he is still going to be able to pull it off. Oh wait, is she gonna get her ultimate? Let's see, she might have actually got it. I think she got it from the merge. So yeah, she got it from the merge. So we are good, and we should still see that one shot easy. So if she doesn't get her AoE card, or she doesn't get a merge or anything like that, which is pretty rare, like I said, 10% or so, there's a very unlikely chance that I don't one-shot it, but then I have Hauser as a backup, I have Gowther as a backup. It almost never happens at this point, but when you add in all the loading screens and not having your enemies take a turn, you're looking at this result right here that I showed you guys of around 50 or so runs per hour. Now, if you end up using the classic pen team, the problem with the pen team is the animations are a bit longer, and you do not really always guarantee yourself that kill on the last wave. So having your enemy take a turn, even if it's only 1 out of every 3 runs or so, that slows things down a lot, because now you take an extra turn, and also you're having the enemies take a turn, which takes up more time. So that, as well as just slower animations, it just doesn't run quite as quickly. It's not bad by any means at all. If you want to use this team, go for it, but you're not quite going to see the same optimal results as you will with the classic Blue Gia team. So that is book farming right there. And now I wanted to transition over to boss battles, because boss battles is another 3 days where I am going crazy farming out. Now, an important note about the boss battles, though, is it's not quite as efficient, both in terms of gold per hour and how much you actually farm, but also in terms of stamina usage. It costs more stamina, and you're going to burn through more stamina pots. In terms of the amount of gold per stamina pot that you get, it's going to be less than books. So especially to those of you guys who are free to play, or you're a low spender, if you have limited stamina potions, you want to prioritize books above boss battles, specifically for gold. Now, if you need boss battles for other stuff, go for it, but I'm really just looking at this from a gold farming perspective. So let me switch over the gear here, because I do not think that my blue Demon Meliodas has the right gear equipped right now, or I won't be able to actually do this properly. So let's see if I can actually remember. I believe it is this. It's the Pierce. Yep, we got the Pierce gear. Actually, you know what? I think that is Lilia's gear, so I'll swap them in a second here. So now let's switch over to Lilia. Lilia's got a little bit more pierce rate, I think. It doesn't really make that big of a difference. As long as it's just not the wrong gear on, then I should be okay. So, let's see, 20, yeah, let's now switch Demon Meliodas and Lilia. Alright, there we go. So now we are all set, and let's head into the actual run. So let me go to boss battles. Let me go to Chapter 2. Chapter 2 is the one that I actually farm. So I could actually also, you know what, I didn't have my, just to inflate my CC a little bit, but I'm never actually going to use her in combat, so I don't need to do this, because she's also not using the right gear, and she will use, let's see, Gia's gear. There we go. Perfect. So this is accurate now, I believe, right? Let's just double check Hauser, make sure he's got his Pierce on. Yes, he does. Alright, so there we go. Okay, so the important thing about this run here is now we're going back to the classic pen team or pierce rate, and as long as I can kill one enemy in the first wave right when I start acting, that's fine, because I know I'm going to be able to clean up all the time on my second turn, and then what that does is that gives the enemy 1 turn to act. So don't really think about it in terms of how many turns you're taking. Think about it more in terms of total actions, right? So with the book farming run, the enemies didn't take any turns, but it took me 3 turns, right? So it's a 3 action run. This, though, only takes me 2 turns, but then I also give the enemies 1 turn to act as well. So it's still a total of 3 actions, and that's why you actually get pretty similar results to the amount of runs per hour with this compared to book farming. Once again, about 50 or so runs per hour. And very importantly for this, though, you want to make sure to be using gold food, because the base gold that you get from boss battles is actually pretty darn high. It's 6,000, so gold food is going to give you an extra 6,000 gold. And just the gold alone from farming this, 50 runs an hour, 12,000 gold a run, that is just 600,000 gold alone per hour just from the gold, and that doesn't include the other stuff. So let's go ahead and head in here, and you guys will see exactly how this team works now. You do not have to use these exact same units. You can actually use, I know I have a video up where I used Green Ellihawk. She's able to achieve the same results. Now, it might not work quite as optimally as this team does, but, you know, it's really more or less about the gear at this point rather than the actual team. As long as you've got a way to kill one enemy turn 1 and finish them all, the rest of them off on turn 2, including the new enemy that spawns, you're going to get the kind of completion times that we are looking at here. So this is going to finish off her right there. And so you can see now we had 1 action ourselves. The enemies have an action here, which takes up time. And we are going to have the last action, which should clean everything up here. So, and this run basically always is exactly the same as this. Very, very rarely. I don't even know if ever it will actually be any longer. I think I always do it exactly this way, where it's 3 actions total, 2 turns for me, 1 turn for the enemy. Even with horrible, horrible RNG with cards. Alright, there we go. So that is that right there. Now, it does cost more stamina. Obviously, with the half stamina event, it's going to be 10 instead of 20. You get that 12,000 gold base, but the thing with boss battles is you get a lot of other stuff as well. So this is not just for gold farming, of course. This is for a lot of other useful stuff for your account, like awakening materials, chalices, and also gear, right? You're going to get those runes, which you can end up salvaging for awakening stones as well. And all these chalices and materials, you know, some of you guys, those of you who are newer, it might pain you a little bit to hear this, so you can plug your ears for a second if you want to. But as you get later on in the game, kind of to the point where I'm at, I have so many of these materials already, I don't really need that more of them. So, you know, a lot of the times, I'll actually just straight up sell them. I know that was a little bit painful to hear, and I would never in a million years do that if you are a newer player, but there's really only so many heroes. There's only so many heroes that you're ever going to really need to 6-star, and the speed at which they release them versus how many chalices I farm, you know, it just clogs up inventory. And maybe not the, you know, highest star ones right now, but a lot of the low star ones, like the 3-star, 2-star, 4-star ones, they'll actually sell, and it increases the amount of gold per hour that you end up making from boss battles by quite a bit. These actually account for a major amount of gold. And so you've got the materials, which sell for 1,000, the chalices, which vary the amount that they sell, but also the equipment, which gives you the brown stones, right? And it ends up giving you awakening stones as well. And I've actually had a massive stockpile of 3-star awakening stones. I sold off some of them, and again, might be painful to hear if you guys are newer to the game, but as you get further along, these materials become less valuable. They're not really the big bottleneck, and there's other stuff that you need more. And that's why I wanted to end off the video here talking about why. Why so much gold? What do you do with all this? Is this even really necessary? Do you need that much gold? And the answer is gold is always useful, not only for just the regular stuff in game, but it's always useful because of the equipment draw, the gear gacha, which actually isn't in the draw menu. I forgot. It is in the shop menu right here. And this costs 200,000 gold, or keys if you have them. And not only do you end up getting gear, but very importantly, it gives you both anvils and hammers. And that's the big one. This is the biggest endgame resource that you really need. It's the bottleneck. It's what you feel like you need the most of, but you never get enough of them. And being able to spend gold and essentially transfer gold into hammers and anvils is huge. So I don't know exactly on average how many hammers and anvils you get from 140 million gold, but I know it's a lot. Somebody in the comments will probably end up doing the math for me there. But also want to wait until we've got some sort of event going on, like a salvage event, until I do this. So for a while, especially after this week's farming events, you guys will probably see me be at quite a bit of gold for a while. So anyway, wow, I threw an insane amount of info at you guys in this video, so I'm going to go ahead and leave it here, and I hope that you guys enjoy it. So like I said, this is looking at it from my perspective, though, and while you might not be able to achieve these kinds of numbers right now, hopefully you guys were still able to learn from this video, and if you guys enjoyed and you want more videos like this in the future, consider subscribing to the channel. Really appreciate all the support, everyone. Thank you so much. If you want to help out, take a quarter of a second or so to leave a quick like. It means a whole bunch. Thank you so much to all of you who do that as well. Really do appreciate it. And more Grand Cross Global videos should be popping up on the screen right about now. Feel free to check them out. But if not, until next time, take care, everyone. This is Salt of the Salty Guild, signing out.